If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Hello, House on the Road subscribers and followers. Since we have started living in national forests, I've heard several people suggest that there has been a lot of news and articles and different things about people coming up missing in national forests. Someone suggested that I look into a conversation called Missing 411. And so I did. I did a little bit of research on it, and it was interesting what I discovered. It's a book written by a retired police officer called David Poultice, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he spent about 7,000 hours researching people who have showed up missing in national forests and national parks. What it is there's been, over the last 100 years, 411 people, missing 411, 411 people that have come up missing. Now, a lot of them are found, some alive, some have perished, others they never did find. What he discovered is there are clusters of areas that this happens most frequently in. There's 28 clusters of national forests, and you can see in this map here, of people who have come up missing. And in these clusters, up to 30 people have come up missing. He's asked the federal parks and services to provide him a list of missing people through the Freedom of Information Act, but they said that they would have to charge him, I think it was $1.5 million, to come up with all the information, because the Forest Department doesn't really keep track of that kind of information. So they would have to go through each area, and it was going to cost a lot of money. Now, based on the information I came up with, it sounds like this happens mostly to children. Most of them are too young to really be able to communicate what happened to them, or others were disabled. And so in all this research I did, it really sounded like there was some sort of conspiracy theory that wasn't being overly discussed. This police officer didn't want to give his theory. But boy, I mean, I was scratching my head and I was thinking, boy, do I really want to do a video on this? Because it sounds like it could be alien abductions or something, you know, ominous. And I wanted to believe that if there's that many people coming up missing, that there has to be some logical explanation. Well, what was interesting is one of the videos I watched, there was an adult male who was being interviewed, and he apparently came up missing in the national parks when he was 6. He said that he got out in the woods and he got tunnel vision. He was focused on something and got lost. And I thought, wow, now this is starting to make sense. This is really starting to become something I can wrap my head around, because this has happened to me as an adult. As a child, I spent a lot of time in the woods. Up to the age of 10 years old, I lived right next to the woods. We rode our bicycles through the woods and played, and there was, I remember an old building that had collapsed, and we played in that. It wasn't completely collapsed, like the roof fell in, and we played in that thing, and of course it was dangerous, but I mean, we played in the woods a lot. There was a cliff next to our house, and we would get up in the woods and hang off on that cliff. There was twice in 1 year I got lost in the woods. And both of them I was hunting, and both of them the first one, I was just going to walk from one lake to the other lake. And instead of taking the path to go around, I thought I'd just take a shortcut through the woods. I knew where the lake was. I knew what direction it was. I mean, but apparently I veered off to my left a lot further than I had realized. And I missed the second lake. And I'm walking and walking and walking. And I can't figure out why I haven't seen anything I recognize. And it took me a couple hours before I got my bearings. I'm not even sure I got my bearings. I got lucky. So, but that one was even kind of explainable in my head, how I got lost. The second time I got lost, I have no idea how I did it. I just walked and I couldn't figure out where I was going. And I kept telling myself, well, if I go this direction, it's got to take me where I think it is. And when I ended up finally coming out of where I was miles away from anything I recognized, from the area I came from. And I was just going to go down in the woods, turn around, and come back. It was incredible how far I walked. So I'm showing you a little bit of footage. I literally just this morning decided to walk just a few feet away from my campsite. And so you see the camper here, and I've just started down into the woods. So now imagine that you're a child, you're 6 years old, and you throw your ball down in the woods, or you or chasing a rabbit, or you saw a lizard that you wanted to chase after. And your parents have told you, now stay where I can see you. Now, from a 6-year-old's mind, a 6-year-old's going to say, well, I know if I just walk a few feet this way, I should be able to see my parents, right? So, because they've done that for 6 years, stay where I can see you, and so they just walk a few feet and they can still be seen. Well, Dad's over there barbecuing, so he's not really paying real close attention, but he knows the kid is in the vicinity, and Mom's setting up the sleeping bags in the tent. I'm just trying to draw a picture. And so, he walks a few feet, and then he turns around, and just like I'm showing you in this picture, he turns around, and he can't see the camper anymore. So now what does the kid do? Well, he did the same thing I did when I was walking in the woods. He turns himself around, and he's walking, and he gets off course a little bit, and it doesn't take much. First of all, you have a dominant foot. You're always leaning towards that foot. If your right foot is the dominant foot, you're always walking towards the right. If you don't have anything to set your mind path on, you veer off. Well, then you got to walk around all these trees and branches and everything, and every time you do that, you're getting, if you're walking a straight path and you walk around this branch, right, and you come back, but you don't come back quite as far, and then you walk this branch, you don't come back quite as far. Well, see how my hands are just now off the screen? That's what happens. And so then you miss your target, whatever that you thought it was. Now, if you're 6 years old, you don't even understand the target. You just say, I can't find the camper. So you just start walking and walking. I think, the reason I bring this up, I think what parents should do is put a control on the children that says, don't leave this specific area, the campsite or the gravel, this area. That way, when the kid says, oh, I'm going to go chase this lizard, they don't chase it past the gravel or the campsite. And that's what I would suggest. It took me a minute to walk so far enough, you couldn't see the camper anymore. Well, think about it. It's easy to lose track of your kid just for a few seconds, a minute, you know, and all of a sudden, you don't know where the kid is. The kid can't see you. So that's my recommendation if you come out to the woods in a national forest with your kids. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click like if you like the video. And happy travels.